Hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. Today, we're going to be talking about hooks and which hooks to use for your slow jigging. So I have a great few examples here. And there's some key points that we are going to talk about. But before that, hey, if you're new to the channel, this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We cover everything from big game, ultralight, everything in the middle, including fly fishing. And today we're talking about slow jigging hooks. How do you know if they're slow jigging hooks? Very, very simple. There's no guide, okay? But what you need to actually look for are thin and strong hooks. This greatly depends on the depth that you're fishing. It's kind of a theme, guys. You know, the deeper you go, the stronger the hooks that you would need. Probably needing a bit heavier jigs, targeting bigger fish, so you match your hooks accordingly. Now, for shallow water fishing, of course, you don't really need super strong hooks. Most important thing to look for when it comes to slow jigging hooks is its penetrating power. So you're looking at the strength of the hook itself. Up to a certain degree, it would be the shape, and we'll talk about that later on. And for the overall system, it's also the size of your assist cord. And this is very important because we're also going to talk about the type of assist cord that you need to use. All right? Because again, in slow jigging, everything matters, and everything from your rod all the way down to your hooks need to work in harmony. Let's tackle the line first, because the line is the part of the system that actually touches the water, basically your connection to your jig and to your hooks and all that. So if you're using, let's say, thick line, automatically what you would be doing is also setting your drags tight. If you're setting them loose and you have thick line, doesn't make sense. Okay, so you set your drags to something that's stronger. You drop down. When you drop down to the bottom, what happens is that the initial setting of the drag would not be the same. It would be higher. So you need to look at the hooks and if they are able to take the strain. There are advantages to buying some hooks. Like take for example here with Owner, you can see that they actually put the bending, okay, not breaking, but the bending point. So for this particular one, okay, which is a 3.0, it has 6.7 pounds or 3.1 kg. This means that at 6.7 pounds, it starts to bend. Now, if you're fishing single hooks, then it's only going to be 6.7. If you're fishing several hooks, like take for example, a normal assist hook would have 2, that would be 6.7 times 2. And then, if you have 2 more on the bottom, that would be 6.7 times 4. And that's your total strength for this whole setup, alright? Same goes with this, which is labeled at 28 pounds, which is a 4.0. And as you can see here, one size, and it's a huge jump. So you have to look at the labels. And here it says super light. Okay, this is light. There's a medium here. Okay, 3.5, and it is at 26. And I'll explain what the difference is later on. And then this one, 7.0, 50 pounds. All right. Now, this is very important data that they already put in on the label for the people to use. Now, there are several companies like VMC that don't put any data there. Doesn't mean to say that they're bad hooks. It's just that when you have the data on the hooks, and it's not just Owner that does this, by the way, but if you have the data on the bending point of the hooks, it gives you some math to go with, which means that you would be able to actually put in the assist cord that's needed. Okay, this is a Varivas number 20, and I'd pair this up with this and this. Probably go thinner for something like this, and I'll go heavier for something like this. And that's very important because again, they all work together. The main difference between this type and this type is the fact that it's using thinner line. Thinner wire. and these two are using similar sized or gauged wire. And this is a very important detail as well, because if you compare these two, what a lot of people think that this would be weak and this is a bit stronger. Well, there might be some truth to that, or a lot of truth to that. What this gives you is actually superior penetrating power. And when the fish grabs the jig, boom, it's on. Whereas it'll take a bit more force to actually have this penetrate. And this is the whole reason why hooks like this exist. It doesn't mean to say that this is weak or, it's not as good as this. But fact of the matter is that this, when it's in a time where fish are short striking or the fish are not totally committing, these hooks will catch you more fish than these would. Because these, as soon as they grab it, boom, it's already there. Now, an even better one would be, have it here, would be, where is that thing? This one. Okay? So, this, it's gray, and if you take it out and you feel it, it's actually very slick. You can see here, it's also barbless. This is just one size up, but for this particular one, it actually has PTFE coating, okay? And this hook would penetrate faster than this because it has the slick coating on it, plus it's also barbless. So this is a bit more technical than what a lot of people want, but there is a need for these, especially when you're fishing in a condition wherein, it's just so difficult to hook a fish. Now, you can see here, shapes. I've discussed this before. This is the reason why I brought this here also, because the shape. All right, so hooks that are just round. Okay, let's take one here just as an example. This is a fast jigging hook, but it's a very good example. So hooks that are round like this, what happens is that when it bends, it actually just bends and it offers no resistance. Whereas hooks with a flat plane such as these, and it's more clear with the VMC actually. I wonder if I have a bigger example here to show. But I tidied up, so couldn't find the... Okay, let's zoom in a bit so that you can see. Alrighty. Hooks that have flat planes such as this, it needs more force to actually bend it than just an ordinary round bend hook, because this acts as a fulcrum, that acts as a fulcrum, and this acts as a fulcrum. So this bends independently from this, and you could actually, if you could find videos of strength tests on these hooks, you'll find that these would bend before this, and then it would be hyper bent before this starts to bend. And this is the merit of these hooks. All right, so things to look for. All right, when choosing a hook. So shape is one of them. The size of the wire, very, very important. And of course, the overall strength. And you can see it in some of the labels for Japanese brands. Very, very important detail. Another thing to note, when you're buying assist cords, there are assist cords that are something like this from Owner. That's very easy to work with, okay? 140 pound, hollow, and they're soft. What you want for slow jigging specifically is something that has fluorocarbon inside. And I'm gonna take a ready-made hook just so you can see. So this particular one here it's from VMC. It's 7269AH. So this has a fluorocarbon core, and what happens is that it makes it springy. Okay. The springiness helps the hooks stay where it's supposed to be. Let's get a jig here. Okay. And it helps so that it won't actually snag the body of the jig, which happens a lot. By the way, if your system is actually your rod, reel, line, and your jig is super balanced, you would feel a resistance when the hooks are hooked on your jig. It's a weird feeling, but you can feel it. So this is why everything should be balanced. So if that happens, actually what you need to do is take the jig up, obviously, and then reset everything. All right. Now, as you could see, look at this hook carefully here. It's flat, it's thin, so it gives it a lot of penetrating power. Also, when you're choosing hooks, you look for the shape where the hook point is going towards the eye. That's a very, very, very important detail because of the line of pull. So when you're pulling this, if the hook eye is aligned with the point, that's the part where that it gets pulled. So they're on the same plane, and then it hits the meat. Whereas if you're let me get a hook here. Okay, so this, when you set the hook, it travels away from the line it travels away from the plane of the pull, and you'll miss a lot of fish if you choose a hook like that. So if you could see, there are hooks that are meant for jigging, and their points are always angled towards the eye. So something for you to consider when you're choosing hooks for your jigs. So yeah, for the assist cord, very, very important detail that you should be using the right assist cord for everything to work. All right. I know it's kind of difficult to find them in the States, but you could just order them online and you get the right stuff instead of buying paracord. It's not worth it, guys. If it works for you, okay, great. But see, the thing is, if you go elsewhere and the fishing is not as easy as it is where you fish, that's when you realize that all of your gear is wrong. Right? You won't be able to produce when the fishing is difficult. So that's it. And the premise of slow jigging is that you are still catching fish even when the fishing is slow. So that's it. If I missed anything, give me a heads up in the comment section. And if you have questions, please do the same. Again, subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video if you've learned something. Explore the channel if you haven't yet. And class dismissed. I'll see you in the next one.